My loveliest friends, welcome back to the Freemelon Society. I'm Eli, and I would love today to introduce you to a guy that I came across who runs a YouTube channel called Raw Vegan Rising. This wonderful man's name is Shane Sterling, and when I came across his videos and lectures, I was quite immediately impressed with not only the wisdom in his videos, but how closely his experiences seems to resemble mine. And I thought right away, I've got to get this guy on the channel. Shane's mission is to help to raise the vibrational awareness of the human consciousness through veganism, through morality, and through the healing and detoxification of the body, and subsequently, of course, of the mind. He also teaches that all of the manifestations of evil, corruption, violence, sickness, and all that around us in society as we know it, these are simply externalizations of the corruption within ourselves. And in order to heal everything around you, you need to heal what's inside first. And so he is a coach, a life coach, and a nutritional coach who helps and heals his clients in this way. After 28 years of being a cooked food vegan, Shane, like myself, when I was a vegan, eating cooked food and whatnot, healthy, but, you know, not really. Like myself, Shane was still suffering from health problems and the health effects that are concomitant with eating in that style. And it was only when he transitioned to a raw vegan lifestyle that he noticed all of his ailments started to clear up, and his life just took off from there. So as you guys know, I'm primarily a fruitarian, and I've also noticed detoxification and wild health improvements over the course of time that I've been a fruitarian. Why I want to introduce you to Shane is that Shane has seen many of the exact same improvements and health benefits that I have eating a raw food diet, including raw foods like nuts and seeds and vegetables, and of course a good deal of fruits as well. So it is our abstinence from all the contrivances of culture that gave us these similar benefits. So anyway, without further ado, I would love to introduce you to Shane Sterling of the Raw Vegan Rising. Here's the interview. Mr. Shane Sterling, thank you so much for joining me here on my channel. I was really looking forward for a chance to interview you. For those of you who haven't seen Shane's channel, Raw Vegan Rising is the channel name, yes?
Correct.
Excellent channel. When I stumbled upon it, I immediately recognized Shane as a really, really intelligent individual who's got a lot to share and harmonizes very much so with the teachings that I give you guys on my channel. And I would really encourage you to take a look at his videos. He's got all sorts of great information out there. So that's Raw Vegan Rising. We'll put links in the description below. Thanks again for coming out with this. It's great to have you here.
Thanks, Eli. It's nice to meet you. We're meeting officially here on Skype for the first time. And yeah, I've been checking out your channel, and phenomenal. I love the concepts of natural law and moral objectivity, and calling out and shedding light on moral relativism, which is like it's an epidemic in our society, in my opinion. And I work on my channel to talk about kind of the practical tools of transformation through primarily diet, which is my raw vegan lifestyle. Right. I believe that really harmonizes us with natural law in a really concise and simple way.
Yes,
because,
absolutely.
When we're aligned in our health and in our mind and our consciousness, we naturally can feel the connection to everything else. We can naturally feel those sympathetic vibrations and everything, and we'll make different choices. We'll attract different experiences. We'll have more success, more love, more health, all the things that we want. So we really just start with the primary fundamental of what we put in our body, and a lot falls into place.
Yeah. I mean, it's really so obvious, the one thing that we have the most control over, what we put into our bodies, kind of common sense. If you put into your body riffraff and garbage and nonsense, then it's going to affect all, not only your physical body, but all your bodies, all your levels of being, your mental body, your emotional body, all these things. So it's such an important thing, for any type of striving in life, regardless of what it is, to have a core foundation built upon principles of morality and good food and whatnot. And then that really just sets the precedent, sets the tone for everything else that you'll do in life, and will make improvements in all of those fields. So, really important things that I feel that we're talking about on both of our channels here. First thing I wanted to get straight with this interview. So as a raw vegan, right? what exactly are we talking about when we say a raw vegan? So what does a raw vegan do in their life? What do they eat and what do they not eat? Just so we're all, on the same page.
Right. Well, just physically what I eat and what I don't eat would be, I do eat all the raw fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, sprouts, ferments like sauerkraut, homemade ferments, coconut yogurt, nut ferments. I don't eat any animal products. I don't eat any grains, legumes, potatoes. I might, shave up a little sweet potato in a salad or have like a little sprouted grain or something here and there. But in general, I try to avoid legumes and grains and starches like potatoes. The real concept of raw vegan, in my opinion, is more of like a devotional practice to like our spiritual evolution. So the food is really in service to our own spiritual progression. And so it's not that we restrict our diet. It's just that we align with the most simple truth possible, that just frees our consciousness to be able to focus on the more important concepts and the more important work for our life, like creating success, health, and abundance for everyone around us. Just like if we fast and we take time to clean our digestive system with juice fasting or water fasting, it frees the body up to eliminate waste and to excrete toxins and buildups and, crystallized acids and proteins in the body. Well, the same goes for just the diet in our consciousness. If we clean up the diet, if we just align with the simplest whole foods coming into our body, it frees up our consciousness, I believe, to focus on the things that are most important, which is really what I call like a triple win, which is a win for me, a win for you, and a win for everything around us.
Right. Yes. Right?
So that's harmonizing with the plants and the animals and the responsibility we have to be stewards of this planet. And we don't have the bandwidth to think about that when we're burdened with junk food, stress, the rat race, and really like a raw vegan diet for me is then in service to kind of lifting myself up out of the rat race, out of the matrix of control, out of, depression and mental illness and heaviness. And it just, even though I'm still around it, even though I'm still in the world, I'm not free of the world because of what I eat. I can't eat my way to godliness, but it frees me up to just be more present, more connected, flooding my body with the light particles in the food. The biophotons, I really believe, allows you to feel that cellular communication with like everything around you. For me, a raw vegan diet is raw food, vegan, but also the spiritual devotional qualities that I just described. I did a 40-day juice fast to help transition to a raw vegan diet to reset my gut and eliminate a lot of waste out of my body, which worked phenomenally, 40 days on juices. So that is processing foods to, but in general, I feel my best and I just thrive when I eat whole foods, simple as they come from Mother Nature, right off the tree, right out of the dirt, right from the vine, exactly as they are. And of course, I make recipes and stuff too, but the longer I'm raw vegan, the more I just really enjoy the simple whole food, like a modern meal of fruit, Right. It's simplicity really rewards the body. And I've been on this learning path. It's learning for me. I mean, I have been studying raw veganism and raw food for a lot of years, but I didn't step onto the path fully until I was 44 years old, so it's not something that I just did, willy-nilly. I really took my time to say, is this something that's going to work for me? Is this even viable? I had a lot of questions like everybody in the beginning. Is this even a viable lifestyle? Is this realistic? But the more I seek the truth, the more I pursue simplicity, the more I study the science, the more I just look at the hard facts of reality, the more I study natural law and understand nature, the more I realize that whole foods, unprocessed foods, raw foods are biologically adapted foods. It's what we were, evolved to eat over billions of years. So, and it serves our health, it serves our consciousness, it serves our spiritual evolution. So it's hard to dispute that for me. And I've been enjoying it. I've been really feeling the best health of my life. I mean, I feel more energy than I did when I was a kid. Yeah. And it's really an unprecedented awakening for my own life and my lifestyle to feel just the amount of energy I have. I have 2 kids, so I'm running around with them all day. I mean, I can read my life. I can question questions of like, who am I and depression and like, how do I fit in life? I mean, these are not part of my concepts anymore. Right. It's really freed me up in a lot of ways.
The benefits that you're describing, it's very obvious. I mean, you look fantastic. Hearing what you have to say, it's obvious that this lifestyle is doing everything beneficial for you. So I'm happy that you're experiencing this, and I'm happy that your kids have a dad that like yourself that they can look up to. So yeah, that's fantastic.
I mean, to be honest, to mention my kids I've done it for them, and I don't make them be raw. I mean, I want them to feel safe in the world. I want them to feel like part of the world. So I'm not enforcing any of my beliefs on them at all. I encourage them to have their own beliefs. Right. And I will not tell them to find raw food or veganism in their life. I just tell them, I share my experiences. I share like my understandings, but that's as far as it goes. I want them to be empowered.
Exactly.
I want everyone to be empowered. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And what I really like is you can lead a horse to knowledge, but you can't make them think.
Yeah.
But we can't force others to wake up. We can't force others to step onto a path of spiritual devotion like raw food. But we can talk from this vantage point. We can say, hey, it really feels good over here. My mind is lit up. Like I feel connected. I have like the spark of the divine is really strong within me. And that's all we can do. We can just be the light and shine. I do that for my kids. I do that on my channel. When my kids got old enough, to where they were aware of who I was and what my lifestyle was like, this is when I have to take full responsibility for myself. This is when I have to really step into leadership, empowerment, especially as a man in the world. Men are under a lot of pressure.
Yes.
Men have to provide. They have to be leaders. They have to be fathers and dads. They have to be good, kind, loving men. They have to be not stressed out. We have to learn how to face our fears. We have to learn how to survive in the world. We have to provide. I mean, on and on and on, And then for me, having my two daughters, it just sparked that like, wow, I need to up level my life. I need to take full responsibility so I can be a true leader for my children here.
When you have to love someone else and care for them, it really does do something to change someone's sense of responsibility, right? Now, that you have to be an image and upstanding representation of what is good, for these others, right? So, and that's exactly what we're doing in the sense for our audience here. And like you were saying before, we can't force anyone, and nor is that our aim. We're not trying to force anyone into a particular mode of living. But what we definitely can do is tell you the absolute truth about those modes of living and tell you the disadvantages of not adhering to those. And once you know those, you can make up your own belief. You can come to your own conclusions. But we're definitely going to tell you how it is. That's for sure.
Yeah, everybody's got to come to their own conclusions. And there's different levels of, we all wake up at different times and in different capacities. And I would just like to see humans be a little more compassionate towards the animals and towards the environment. And, I focus on that on my channel. I mean, my channel is called Raw Vegan Rising. So I do speak about the ethical, moral stance of veganism, but not in a preachy way, just in a perspective way. Like, I think it's such an important component because like you were saying in your video on the nature of morality, that we're all connected. It's been scientifically proven.
Yeah.
We are just different expressions of the same energy. So the noble and humble and gentle beasts, that are taken for food on this planet as humans consume 250 billion animals a year, I believe is the number. If we're ready to evolve as a species and really set the energetic tone for how planet Earth operates and what the morality of planet Earth really is, we need to take responsibility for that. I've been feeling this my whole life since a kid. I went vegan at 17. This has been like my primary focus since then, 29 years ago. I can't see humanity like progressing past where we're at without, becoming aware of how we're treating the other animals on this planet, primarily the animals that we eat. And because it affects us on such a deep, primal, fundamental level, energetically, emotionally, spiritually, disconnect the two. And the gentleness and the benevolence in cows, for instance, they're such gentle creatures, that's part of us. We're hurting that benevolence and that gentleness in ourselves. We're taking that violence against ourselves, really. So, that's one of the things that I just think is a primary, fundamental, important concept.
Right. if you're unwilling to start with the self, you can't really externalize any of those types of goodness, if they're not internally generated to begin with. When we eat products of slaughter and murder, pollute our bodies with these types of foul, rotting types of nutrition, right? It's not realistic to assume that you're going to express love and compassion everywhere else if you haven't even realized it for yourself. Glad you mentioned, because I wanted to ask you, there's so many similarities between myself and yourself in our progression through this healthy lifestyle. And we've both went through bouts of weight loss and detoxing and whatnot. And with my audience, because I'm primarily fruitarian, and I know you include raw vegetables and nuts as well, but you've just as much as I have seen the benefits of this healthy lifestyle with just the raw food. So what I wanted to ask you was, if someone was interested in cultivating this lifestyle, what are some of the detox symptoms and whatnot that they can expect? Because it's not a quick fix. It's got to be a lifestyle approach, and people get put off when we've all heard of them, the ex-vegans, and I went vegan and I got sick, so I had to start eating meat again. But we've all heard that nonsense before. Not that it's nonsense. It's true. It happens, but it's because people don't understand this process. Right? Give us briefly a recap of the detox process that you experienced when you transitioned from, a regular mode of eating to the much healthier lifestyle of, raw vegan plant-based dieting.
Yeah, it's a really important thing for people to understand if they're going to take on a raw vegan lifestyle. It's really stepping into a process of detoxification, and there's a lot of things that happen to the body in that process of being able to thrive on a 100% raw vegan diet for an extended period of time for the rest of your life. You have to transition your body over, and to get your body to thrive on the raw foods, you have to kind of reset some things. You have to reset the gut. You got to reset, your metabolism. You got to reset your neural associations with food. You got to reset your sense of hunger and satiation. And we have emotional addictions to food. So we got to we're taking on emotional components, physical components, we're taking on changing the gut microbiome. So all of these things alone could be quite an undertaking. And then you do them together, and it's the beautiful process of transitioning to a raw vegan lifestyle. Right. And people can often go a week, like on a raw challenge or, a fruit fast challenge, and experience, great energy and feel good and talk very highly of it. But if you go 2 weeks, or if you go 3 weeks, or if you go 4 weeks, you're going to start to run into the detoxification symptoms. Yes. And those are going to last for a period of time, but then they go away. And on the other side, you come out able to utilize, digest the food, absorb the food, get the energies from the food, and not have any of the burden of heavy fats, animal products, the starches and the grains, which create acid buildup in the body. So really the thing you want to prepare yourself for, if some of the listener is going to say, I want to try going raw, or I'm going to go raw, you become inspired and you're going to commit to this. The detox symptoms, for me at least, looked like flu symptoms. I got runny nose, aches and pains in my body. I did a juice cleanse to help the process along. I thought, okay, I'm having some detox symptoms. I'm going to juice fast and help clean it out. And I did that. I did a 40-day juice fast. I did about 6 quarts of juice a day. I did about 3 being green juice, 3 being fruit juice. So I was taking in probably 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day in juices. And I was losing about a pound a day. I lost 40 pounds in 40 days.
Damn. Yeah.
The thing is that it wasn't all body fat, because I probably only lost about maybe 5 or 6 pounds of body fat in that time. I lost a lot of waste out of my intestines.
Yes.
As mucoid plaque come out, which I didn't know was real. I heard people talk about it, like John Rose, who's one of my favorite vegan YouTubers. Love him.
Great. Yeah.
Right. John Rose is awesome. So he talked about mucoid plaque, and I thought, I'm going to go after this mucoid plaque. I did my juice fast in service to cleaning my GI tract, and worked because I think I probably lost about 25, 28 pounds altogether, maybe more. I mean, I don't know how much body fat and how much waist matter it was exactly. So I guesstimate, you know.
Yeah.
I guesstimate maybe 28 pounds of like mucoid plaque and impacted matter in there from a lifetime of my standard American diet, you know. And I've always been healthy and vegan, but I still call it the standard American diet, like fried foods, you know, cooked starches, green, all that stuff, you know. So really, the juice fast was quintessential in helping to reset my gut, eliminate the waste. You don't want to put new wine in an old wineskin, so you got to clean it out, you know, right? You got to clean it out. That really helps in multiple ways because it floods your body with the biophotons, the phytochemicals, the minerals, the water, the structured water and filtered water in the fruits and vegetables. Yeah. And that just like resets your neural association with where the nectar of life really is. I can't tell you. I mean, 40 days on juices, you start to realize you have like shedding of layers. It feels very spiritual. It feels very connecting and awakening to do that. And it's really the flooding of the body with the natural elements in the fruits and vegetables that we're supposed to be, that we're deficient in on our standard American diet. Right. And so then we're feeling that energy source, we're feeling that vital life force flow through us, and it resets the entire neural association as to where we get sustenance from. So then coming back onto solid food after a juice cleanse, for me was like, well, I'm sticking with the cucumbers, I'm sticking with the apples, I'm sticking with the citrus fruits. Yeah. That's where I had been getting my sustenance and my life force from for the last 40 days. And then the gut bacteria, for me, needed to be rebuilt. It took me about 3 months of eating salads and fruits and whatnot to be able to fully digest the high fiber content of all of that food that I was putting in. I noticed at first that the bacteria wasn't able to fully process all that fiber. So then that was my second phase, was building up my gut microbiome to handle a high fiber diet, primarily, you know, all fiber and water and minerals.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So, and then my detox symptoms really lasted: aches, pains, sneezing, runny nose here and there, on and off for about 6 months. Aches, pains, sneezing, runny nose here and there, on and off for about 6 months. But it really wasn't until 10 months where I made my first YouTube video, I think, saying, I think I'm having a breakthrough. I think I'm feeling good, 100% good. And it was 10 months. And then, but really honestly, it wasn't until the 1 year mark, 12 months, where I think I finally broke through and felt like I was able to feel good 100% of the time on food and really thrive. And that's when my weight really started to come back. My energy started to come back. My body started to rebuild. I always like working out, but I was in a detox phase for like a year. So I stopped going to the gym to just allow my body to cleanse and not focus on trying to build while I was cleansing. I just let my body cleanse. Right. And then at 12 months, I was ready to go back to the gym, put all my muscle mass back on, feel invigorated. Now I do, you know, I get the hormonal rush from my workouts plus the raw food. I'm flying high on a daily basis, you know, and that fuels my inspiration to create a YouTube channel in service to education and inspiration to others. And I advocate for raw veganism, raw food, and just spiritual progression in general in my life everywhere I go. And so for me, the detoxification process wasn't just physical. It was emotional and spiritual. I had profound layers of like emotional complexity shed off of me, like past traumas came up. I mean, past fears came up. I was really faced with like deep fundamental aspects of my fear and my faults and my self-worth. I've healed a lot of my self-worth, you know, and I'm still working on it, like we all are, to really excel as a human being and to be a true leader to ourselves. Yeah. But self-worth, I think finding true self-worth was one of the most profound discoveries in my raw food journey in the first year, especially in detoxification, and knowing that I'm worthy of thriving, knowing that I'm worthy of what God intended for me, which was to be happy, healthy, have abundance, have money, have love, have relationship, have family, all of it, you know, a good outlook, being in service to others, being, you know, energetic enough to do all of this. That's been one of the most profound aspects of the process of transitioning and detoxification. So I found purpose, I found meaning, I found awakening and spiritual purpose. I changed careers. I changed my whole focus. I'm actually a health coach now. I coach clients through the detoxification process and the transition process, actually, and help people with juice fasting, help people with the first 3 months. I generally do 3-month periods with people where I help them over the hurdles and the hump of that first detox phase. It's profound work, and I used to do something completely different. It completely changed the whole trajectory of my life.
This is such an important experience, to be able to relate to people, because it's so powerful. You make these changes and every aspect of your being changes along with it for the better. When people ask me for advice, or when people are asking you for advice, they want to know what they can do and how they can improve their lives. The important thing here to remember is that when we've lived in a manner of abuse to our bodies, then you might be poisoning yourself over whatever, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, it doesn't matter how many years, right? So people have to remember everything that you take into your body, right? These things are becoming part of your tissue, part of your body. It becomes incorporated into your blood. And these waste products, depending on what you're eating, they're going to settle all over your body, your skin, your hair, your eyes, your nose, your feet, your organs, your tissue. This stuff goes everywhere. Now you do that for year after year after year. You have to realistically assume that when you start to clean yourself out, there is a systematic process of undoing the damage of all of these years of an accumulation of waste materials all over your body, wherever they may reside. And like you just said, as is your experience and is my experience, it takes time. So you really have to be patient. And as this process goes along, you can expect to get sicker first. You can expect all the things that you experienced, lack of energy, running nose, flus, all this type of thing. But on the other end, you become healthier, right? It's like an analogy I like to use is, let's say your kitchen cabinet, you want to clean out your kitchen, okay? And it hasn't been dusted in, let's say, a couple of years, right? When you immediately walk into your kitchen, there's not really dust flying all over the place, and, everything is kind of settled. So that I would equate to your body before the detox. Now, as you start dusting, right? You dust and you clean your kitchen for that temporary time when you are cleaning and detox. Yes, there is dust flying all over the kitchen. Things are kind of chaotic. Maybe there's a pail of water. Some of it spilled on the floor. Your kitchen's a mess. Right? That's the detox phase. People mistake the detox phase for the normal condition that lifestyle will be for the rest of their lives, and that's not true. But once it's all cleaned out and the dust settles, you've taken out the majority of the dust, right? Afterwards, the kitchen is a lot cleaner, and it's now in that neutral state. But now all the dust and all that crap is now gone from all those places that you've cleaned, right? So that's the state that we want to get to. But you have to be willing to go through the cleaning, right? And that's where a lot of people get, messed up and mistaken, right? They don't allow enough time for that cleaning process to thoroughly purge. I'm so happy that you can give that experience, because, you've elucidated it a bit more clearly. So, so for all of you guys out there that want to get into this, please, you have to understand there's no such thing as a quick fix. Well, I'm going to detox for a week and then I'm going to go back and see how I feel. It's not how it works, right? It's got to be a motivated approach that you're going to sustain. And if you're not willing to sustain it for long enough, you're not going to see the enduring results, as you've said. So
you have to have a big why. You have to know why you're doing it. And I believe your why has to be bigger than health. It has to be bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
If you have a disease and you're looking for raw food to help cure a problem, an ailment, skin issue, diabetes, cancer, all works with raw food, but that's not going to be enough long term. Not even healing disease is enough, because it can't be about the self. Right. It has to be something bigger than yourself, as all service of all true service in the world has to be about others, something bigger than yourself. What's your service to humanity? What's your service to the world, to consciousness, to spiritual evolution? That's where you have to get to be successful long term on a raw vegan diet because it goes against our cultural norms. It goes against the traditions of the family. It goes against the traditions of our cultures.
Yeah.
And so to be one who stands up against tradition of culture or tradition of family takes a really strong personal knowing of what your why is.
Yes, it does.
I always tell people, like, get connected with what your big work in the world is, what your big purpose is, because if you're doing it for health, you'll go back to cook food. You'll go back. It's not going to be enough to get through the hard times of the detox.
Yeah.
And then there's even raw vegans who go back to cook food after 15 years, and say it didn't work and I became deficient and stuff like this. But we have to talk about how much cleansing have we done? How much detoxification have we done? Because I believe as waste matter stays accumulated in the body is where our struggle lies. The more toxicity in the body, the more struggle we'll have, even over 15 years. So really detoxification is what we should be in service to, not the raw food specifically, because the more we detoxify, the more we'll be led to the higher vibrational foods.
Right.
So toxicity is like density, frequency, lower frequency, keeping us in a lower vibration. As we clear those layers out, clear the toxicity out, then we become able to focus on the higher vibrational thoughts. And really that's the process of detoxification. Yeah. And detoxification leads us to raw food and not the other way around. Raw food doesn't lead us to detoxification. Detoxification leads us to raw food. So my advice is always, I tell my clients all the time, we're focusing on detoxification. That's why we're going to do a juice fast. That's why we're going to do cleansing, fasting. That's a big part of it. And I think that's critical for success long term. And I don't know, people who are failing off of raw vegan diets, raw vegans going back to meat and carnivore diets and going back to food. I mean, it's a failure of your purpose and your why, of why you're doing it. And it's really succumbing to the weaknesses we have within ourselves in being leaders. Not everyone is ready to be out in front, holding the torch for a new paradigm of health and consciousness on this planet. And if you feel called to be someone who's a torchbearer out in front, leading the way, showing the light for others to follow, then yes, get on board and stay committed. Because if you run into deficiencies down the road, if you run into things you need to tweak and adjust, you can do that. But it's not going back to cook food and retoxifying your body, re-acidifying your body. It's about tweaking and adjusting the course of action to stay raw, to stay on your spiritual path, to stay committed to your big why, which is ultimately helping the spiritual progression of humanity and this planet.
Very powerful words. Yeah. That leads me to my next question for you. It's interesting. We have all these very, very obvious, demonstrable, tangible benefits to cleaning up your diet, your lifestyle, detoxing your body, all of the benefits that yields. We know that this is the result. Okay, we know that these are the effects of the lifestyle that we are teaching. Why, Shane? Why is it so difficult? What is it about the world that we live in that makes it so difficult for people to, in light and in spite of all of the benefits that we can tell them are coming your way if you do this? Why is it so difficult for people to do this, to adopt these lifestyle changes? What are the resistances that stop them from just jumping into this, full swing, cold turkey right away? Like, why can someone just not say, yeah, obviously this is the right thing to do. Here I go, What stops a person from doing that in this culture that we live in?
It's a great question. I mean, I made a video on this called All Raw Vegans Eventually Go Back to Cook Food. Title of the video.
We'll put some links to that down here. Yeah.
It was a good video. I talk about what I believe are the reasons. But the primary fundamental reason I believe is self-worth. If we don't heal our self-worth, our place of belonging in the world, our knowing that we deserve to take up space, that we deserve to have success, that we deserve to have money, abundance, health, love, joy, freedom, then we aren't going to create it. We have to know we are worthy of it. We create exactly in our life a reflection of what we feel worthy of at any given time. If we live in a crappy apartment and we have a crappy job that we hate, that's where our self-worth level is. If we have total abundance, $1 million house, $1 million job, and total freedom, that's where our self-worth level is. So someone with $1 million house could have terrible relationships and feel alone and isolated in the world. Mm-hmm. So wherever our self-worth levels are is where we will experience either, poverty or abundance. So we have to think in those terms. We have to heal the total self-worth journey, which I believe raw food helps with that process. Again, another reason to just stick with raw food and allow it to work its magic and to shed the layers of fear, chaos, self-judgment, self-violence, and anger, so that we can really express and learn who we are and what our self-worth is.
Right.
Self-worth plays into the next component of that, which is who we are in the world and our cultural traditions and our family traditions. If we're born into a Hispanic family, for instance, who cherishes their tortilla traditions and, the rice and beans, and the grandfather has, the 3-generation-old recipe of beans. It's steeped in the culture of identity, steeped in our self-worth.
Chicharron on top of chicharron. It's fried pork skin on top of fried pork skin. That is all you could ask for. All you could ask for. All you could ask for.
One taco. For me, and I think that the taco is the most delicious thing in the world. Why? Because tortilla, for the Mexican, it's our plate. So we eat our plate. It's our plate. So we eat our plate. Taco, it's everything. You put it on a tortilla.
That's who we are. My worth revolves around my 3-generation-old recipe on how to make this beans, right? So, and I've heard people say that. I take that analogy because people have said that to me.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we are going up against cultural and family traditions that define the very human experience. How can we be one cell in an organism that stands up and says, well, I'm going to actually be part of a different organism because this organism over here, humanity, is flawed, diseased, going down the wrong path of moral relativism. Mm-hmm. And I want to stand up for moral, objective truth and stand for health and create self-worth and lead the organism down a different path. I mean, how many cells in the organism are capable of doing that? We can't be a leader, first and foremost, if we're not extremely compassionate, understanding, self-loving. Mm-hmm. We have to have high self-worth, high self-standards to where we motivate others. Leaders don't lead by saying, follow me. Mm-hmm. Leaders lead by saying, hey, I can help you. This is how you do it. Let me help you along. We help each other. And that's what a real leader does. So if you're someone who's still disempowered in any way, say you have anger toward the world, you have fears in the world, you haven't, experienced the success or the meaning or the truth that you want to experience, how are you going to possibly be a leader to take that stand in your life and say, I'm going to lead the entire human organism down a different path, a trajectory of spiritual integrity and growth? That's a tall order. Not everyone is capable of doing that. So everyone's capable of thriving on raw food because it's our biologically adapted diet. That's what we should be eating. And our bodies will thrive when we focus on whole raw foods. That's the easy part. But the hard part is what your family does and what the cultural tradition does. Currently, our culture has fast food restaurants on every corner across the world. Every aisle in the grocery store is filled with jarred, boxed, packaged, dead, pasteurized food. 99% of the grocery store is dead, pasteurized, processed, terrible food. Mm-hmm. So our culture is not set up to support this new way of thinking, a new ideology. We literally have to be self-referencing. We have to know why we're doing it and what we're doing from an internal vantage point that doesn't include the outside world. And that's like, we have to be called. We have to have a mission. We have to have a truth, a divine spark in our hearts, in our minds. We have to feel connected with the, universal truth that is pulling us forward. We have to feel like we are, endowed with this mission to help and to heal. Yeah. And I just really think it comes from an internal place. Nothing can sway you from your path if you're motivated and committed from a deep spiritual internal place. Yes. It doesn't matter what other people say. It doesn't matter what the naysayers say. It doesn't matter if people say, well, science debunks this. where that doesn't matter because you're going to find a way. Mind over matter. You know, our minds shape matter physically, literally. Reality's malleable, and who we are, who we believe we are, and what we're focused on in the world comes from inside. And if we let the world sway and influence our minds, we're going to be a tool for the agenda, for the way the world is. The mainstream ideologies that already exist, we'll just continue to create that. So we have to find a way to break free from that through our own internal guidance system, our own internal reference points, which is a tall order for most people. We're coming from a culture that's manipulated and controlled, and we're downtrodden by the system. We're, like the slave class working for the debt monetary system. I mean, it's not an easy thing. We all have trauma. We've been psychologically traumatized as a species, so we really have to have other tools. I think raw food can get us started on self-worth, and then we have to use our spiritual guidance to take us the next leg of that journey.
Yeah. We've got all these things working against us. We've got our cultural traditions and our family traditions, right? That's already a strong inhibition to this type of thing. But, people always also have to remember that outside of the family traditions, right, that are steeped in all of these incorrect modes of living, the world outside of your family, none of it is set up for your optimal growth and evolution, right? None of it, right? The entire food industry, all of it is premised on a business model whereby they need to find a way to make you come back and buy their product, just like any other commodity or other product out there. So in order to do that, what they need to do is they need to find a way to make the food as addictive as possible. And all restaurants or all, processed food, industries out there, they're using combinations of chemicals, synthetic or natural chemicals that fool you into believing that what you're eating is food. So it's like, refined oils, salts, and sugars, right? They're just using combinations of these things, these unnatural products, and putting them into foods in certain combinations that make you come back constantly for more. None of it is consistent with optimal health. None of it. And it is the exact same thing in every place that you go to where you're buying a food that is not just a natural food. So you have all of that working against you. And then you've got the educational institutions, intelligence agency, think tanks that have infiltrated the school industry. You've got Tavistock Institution, you've got the Rand Corporation and the Frankfurt School, all these influences that have bled into our educational system and that have eroded all of our health and university courses. It goes on and on. Basically, like you said, the world is against you, right? When it comes to true health, true morality, and all of the benefits that it yields. So in order to adopt this lifestyle, you need a very, very strong degree of maturity. How many times have people gone to you, and people that you coach, they say, well, I was doing well. I had about 2 weeks of raw food. But then it was Christmas time, or then it was Easter. And there was all the normal food around me, so I was like, okay, whatever, I just binged. Right? How many times we've all heard that? Any health coach has heard that. And, is that really an excuse? Not really. This world is going to be around us for our whole lives. We live in this world, right? That's never going to change. So, I could use the excuse of saying, well, I've been eating raw food for, 2+ years now. Oh, but a pizza went up beside my place. So, I had to do what I had to do, right? It takes a fantastic amount of maturity for you to know who you are and to be in the presence of these things, even if they are occasional. Christmas, the wedding, whatever. And to stand in defiance of those things and to say, yeah, I know these things are in my immediate vicinity. And I know that I have access to these, cooked foods, right? No different than any other time. I could cut this interview right now and just go and pig out on, McDonald's if I wanted to, right? I could do that, but I'm choosing not to, right? So you have to have maturity to choose not to do these things because why you're not doing them, right? You know the benefits. And so for everyone out there that's listening, these obstacles are never going to relent themselves. They're always going to be put in your face, right? This world is always going to thrust its lies in your face. If you're trying to make these changes, you need to know why you're abstaining from those things. And you need to be mature enough to be able to resist these things, not because you're just always saying, no, I can't.
Yeah, it's not restriction.
It's not restriction. It's just that you're making the choice because of an elevated sense of awareness that those choices don't lead you to anywhere that you want to go.
Yeah.
And that's why you're doing it.
Even my own mother says, you should be able to eat some cooked food if you're at a friend's house and they want to serve you this, and it just fitting in with the world. Even my mom pressures me, just fit in with the world.
Yeah, just fit in.
But for me, that choice of having cooked food at a dinner party or at a friend's house isn't going to serve my highest good. It's not going to allow me to be in service to the world in the way I need to be. My mom's advice just doesn't fly with me.
It just doesn't fly. That's such a good mindset to have. Need more people like you to teach others, how to develop that mindset. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I really hope that helps for those viewers out there to really understand what it takes. And if you do understand that and you do carry out these prescriptions for better health and wellness, I guarantee you will be a better person on the other end in every single way. So you've been doing this for a while, and I think the next thing that I imagine would help people is, okay, so now we know that we can get much healthier in every single way. We know that our lives will improve. Okay, so we know all that. And we know that the world is against us, and we know that it's not going to help us. We need to undertake to do this on our own. The last thing I wanted to ask you, as you've gone through this journey, I imagine you've had this trial and error process whereby you're figuring out, okay, what meals can I eat? What goes well with what? You're just experimenting with what raw foods work for you. If you're coaching someone as to, what to eat, because a lot of people have this stumbling block where they know that the things that they're eating are bad, but they just don't know what good things to eat. Right? It's like, okay, well, where do I go? What do I eat? I can't eat anything now, or so they think. So what are some of your preferred or favorite meals that you've discovered were great replacements or transitions, from a cooked bad standard American diet to, a cleaner diet? What are some of the options that people have when they're making this transition, in your experience?
Yeah. The first day I ever went raw, I went cold turkey, and I just decided one day, okay, I'm going to eat raw food. I'm probably never going to go back.
Yeah.
But that first day I made myself really big salad, and I threw in everything. I threw in greens and fruits and nuts and loaded it up. Probably was 1,000 calories in that salad. And I ate all this mixture of everything and felt so satiated. I was like, this is going to be easy. No problem. It was eat these salads loaded with nuts and apples and berries. And that really worked. That was a good way to just say, look, I got this. Now, that's what I think the most important thing is, find your thing where you're like, I got this. Yeah. Even if it's the wrong thing, even if it's just, raw almond butter and apples or whatever, just fats, fruits, which I don't do now. Sure. But at first, mixing fats and fruits helps give that sense of familiarity, because in our standard diet, we mix starches and carbohydrates with fats. It's not a good thing to do for health, and if you read the book 80-10-10, I was really skeptical of 80-10-10 when I first read it, and Doug Graham's philosophy on that. But I read it anyway because as a raw vegan, I just wanted to read the book. Yeah. But I found over time, I've naturally gravitated toward lower fats and higher carbohydrates, and I've really have found the way to thrive, which is basically like a fruitarian style diet. Right. And when I say fruitarian, I mean, we're talking zucchinis and cucumbers and tomatoes. Those are all fruits, avocados. Yeah. But the fruits of the trees and the vines, are really the diet that allows us to thrive the most. Right. And, mother's milk, when we're infants, is 96% carbohydrates, 2% protein, 2% fat. So it's low protein, low fat, high carbohydrate. And babies triple in size in the first 6 months, so it's a high growth stimulating diet. Carbohydrates stimulate our metabolism, our growth, our functionality. It's our preferred fuel source for our body. So just take abundance of the carbohydrates. And it took me a while to figure that out because I was used to mixing the fats and the carbohydrates, like butter and toast, for instance, or like peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's fat and carbohydrate.
Right.
So I stuck with a lot of high fat, high carbohydrate mixtures in the beginning to just get over the sense of my hunger, my demand for hunger.
Got it. Yeah.
But it slowly transitioned. And one of my favorite things in the first 6 months, I'd say, was a bowl of fruit, berries, bananas, strawberries mixed together, whatever fruit, with like sunflower seeds, shredded coconut, cacao nibs, like all the fats and the fruits mixed.
Yeah.
I'd make a hemp milk and I'd pour that over top, and it'd be like cereal made with fresh fruit and seeds, and that's a lot of calories. It's really satiating because it's mixing the fruits and the fats, but I don't recommend fruits and fats like that ongoing. Yes. And you'll probably find that if someone's really undertaking a raw vegan diet, that doesn't really work, and you get indigestion and you get gas and bloating and stuff from food like that. But in the beginning, who cares? Do it. Find out for yourself. That's honestly what I believe. I believe that raw food is universal for everyone. We're all going to thrive on raw food because our biology is all the same. But the exact ratio of how much fat you like in your diet, how much protein you like in your diet, is going to be different for everyone.
Right.
And I think that you have to experiment to find that out. So I would highly recommend reading a book like 80-10-10 because it just kind of opens the mind to this low fat, low protein kind of idea. Mm-hmm. In our modern culture, we're told that healthy fats and lean proteins are the way to health. Fat is how we get healthy, but it's the opposite. Low protein and low fat and high carbohydrate is how we get healthy.
Exactly.
The raw carbohydrates filled with water, filled with minerals, filled with the living electricity, the sunlight energy, the biophotons, the phytochemicals. This is what creates the health.
Yes.
So now I can eat a mono meal of watermelon or banana or cantaloupe, whatever it is, just sit down and have a bowl of one thing, and I feel the best and I'm most satiated. I do still find that I like salads each day. So what I do is I start my day with smoothies or fruits, fruit mono meals or blending them. And then toward the end of the day, I'll start to bring in the greens and avocado or nuts and seeds if I'm going to have nuts and seeds that day. And I don't always have nuts and seeds. Some days I want to, some days I don't. Some days I'll have all fruit, some days fruit and greens. For me, I did a whole week where I did nothing but fruit, and my kidneys started really filtering. I think the all fruits are great for cleansing, just super amounts of energy and getting your body back in shape and healing. Yeah. But for sustained for me, I like to have some greens and I like to have some fats. Some days if I'm traveling or whatnot, I'll bring even cashews with me for a snack, and I don't generally eat cashews because they're not raw and they're not really, they're inflammatory and all this stuff. But once in a while, I'll have some handfuls of cashews. It's a whole food. It comes off a tree. So really, I think the most important thing is to not get caught up in, am I doing it right or wrong, but just do it and find out what works for you, Yeah. There's no way for anyone to know what that's going to feel like to break the demand for cooked food hunger. It's an addiction we have in our minds. It's an addiction that's steeped in our psychology and in our culture. So we're really breaking away from something very big and struggling with the sense of hunger as you transition and start in on a raw vegan diet is, I think, the biggest challenge because you feel hungry. So my advice to all my clients always is just satiate. Just don't feel hungry so you can stay on the whole raw foods, whatever that is, and you'll figure it out as you go. Right. You figure out that, I don't like this combination, or, this combination makes me feel great. And the more time you do it, the better you're going to be at it. And then eventually you're going to probably end up at a high carb, low fat, raw vegan diet, which is the ultimate for health,
Perfect. It's kind of like a lot of things in life. You don't really realize that you can do something until you have to do it. Something in your house breaks and you have to fix it. It's like you would have never thought that you would have been able to fix it until it was a necessity, right? So
exactly.
And you'll find a way. As much as it can be daunting at first, right? Oh no, I can no longer have my pizza and pasta and whatnot or lasagna. Yeah, okay, fine. I mean, it might be a bit of a change at first, but if you are set in your conviction and you understand what you're doing and you understand that it is for the betterment of yourself and your family and everyone around you, you'll find a way. And yeah, it's so important. I don't think people need to start worrying about, oh, but calories this and calories that. Like, don't worry about that. It's your initial phase. As long as you stick to the raw foods, try not to overeat, obviously, but, don't go hungry. Just do whatever you need to do to be comfortable with that raw food umbrella, and just start seeing what works. Eventually, you will start to clean out. And as you detox and clean out more, I think naturally you start to refine what you're eating and what combinations do work and what don't work for you.
In the first couple of months when I first went raw, I went on a trip for about a week, and I was traveling. So I didn't know how to do raw while traveling. And I just basically would just stock up on fruit, like bananas and grapes and apples. And, if you count, I was coming from my old paradigm where I'd count calories to lose weight or stay in shape, right? And I think if I eat more than 3,000 calories, I'm going to gain weight. Mm-hmm. But I spent that entire week so damn hungry because I was still new. And I couldn't eat enough bananas and grapes. And I was counting up the calories. And I was saying, holy moly, I'm eating like 4,000 calories today. And I'm still hungry. Yeah. 4,000 calories. I said, I'm going to come back from this trip. I'm going to be gaining weight. And I got back from that week long of stuffing my face with seemingly high calorie fruits for a week.
Yeah.
Got on the scale. I was, I think, 2 pounds less than when I got there. I didn't gain a thing.
Yeah.
I was in calories going, wait, I can't be eating 4,000 calories and not be gaining weight. That doesn't. So I was like, my mind was blown that I could eat 4,000 calories of fruit and not gain weight. I was like, wow, that's actually freedom. That's actually good. I like that. So that was like self-discovery. No one had told me that. I missed it or something because I didn't think that was possible. And so now I know that I can have lots of calories if I want, and I'm not going to gain weight. If I lift weights or something, I can channel that into some muscle mass and put some energy in my body to fuel workouts and feel great and be fit and be in shape and feel like $1 million. But I'm not going to put body fat from whole raw fruit. Right. I mean, maybe dried fruit, maybe nuts, but not food. Yeah, so it's freedom. I've had some weight loss clients, and it's such a paradigm buster to say you can eat as much fruit as you want, pretty much. It's how you mix the fruits that become an issue. But really, fruit by itself, you're going to lose body fat on fruit no matter how much you eat. And that's incredible. For anyone who's listening, I think this is an important thing. That sugars don't metabolize the same as starches, which break down to sugar. Correct. It bypasses the liver, and it doesn't need insulin to carry that energy to the cell. Yes. So we get direct energy in our cells from fruit sugars, like fructose specifically, bypasses the liver. So there's no insulin response, direct instant energy to the body. If we're eating starches like grains and stuff and legumes and potatoes, those foods are sugars just in starch form, but it requires insulin to carry that to the cell for energy. And if there's excess, that insulin is what stores the energy as fat. So when there's no insulin response, there's no fat storage. And that's why you eat an abundance of fruit and not gain weight. And that's freedom for most people who come from a counting calorie paradigm. Right. You experience complete freedom. Eat as much as you want. Yes. Enjoy the abundance of life.
Whenever I'm giving lectures or even just in person, people ask me oh, isn't that hard? And I'm like, man, I'm teaching you freedom. I am teaching you how to live in the easiest way possible. You don't have to do this intricate meal preparation. Like, man, my life is easy when it comes to diet and whatnot. It's easy.
Meal preparation is kind of a bummer, and cooking is definitely a bummer, right? Cooking is always like, oh, I got to do this now. So for me, raw food diet was like, wow, this is total freedom. This is dream come true.
I remember in my first year, exclusively fruitarian, but I did have, a couple vegetable meals, here and there. I did food experiments as well. I was like, okay, I want to see how I react with, sweet potatoes or whatever. And so I tried these things. And whenever I did those experiments, I'd look at my watch, 35 minutes, 40 minutes down the drain, prepping this stuff. And I would just be caught feeling like, this sucks, man. I've already killed so much time, getting ready to eat.
When I was first transitioned, I'd make like, of course, like the zucchini noodles with like sauce, trying to recreate pasta, right? With like put in like, salt and seasoning and try to make it taste like tomato sauce. And I never liked it. I never liked it. Yeah, sometimes I'll just even have just greens with like just greens and grapes, or just greens and cucumber or something, like keeping it really simple. And that just makes me feel the best. If I eat too much of a mixture, I'll be like, oh, I got to digest that now. But if I'm eating simple, like 1 or 2 things at a time, bam, I'm off to the next thing. I got energy for my life. I don't have to worry about it. It doesn't slow me down.
You have everything to look forward to, every advantage at your disposal if you do this, right? Not only does your health improve, not only does your thinking improve, not only does your emotional control improve. Now you've got this spilling over to the other people in your influence, your time efficiency, all this improve. So guys, for those of you listening to this, you have literally everything to gain from adopting this lifestyle. You've been doing this for
about a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah. It's cool because I can't wait till I can say like 6 years, 10 years, 12 years. No, there's no going back for me. It's like, for me, I'm just eyes forward, because it doesn't matter how much time has passed. The benefits are so immense that the thought of putting the slow foods in my body again, no, it's just not even a possibility. Yeah. I have people all the time come to me just on social media and say, I've been raw for 2 weeks and I'm so inspired, I want to start a YouTube channel about it. It does that. Yeah. It makes that inspired,
Yeah. Yeah. You want to give to other people the incredible feeling that you're feeling inside. It's like you almost feel guilty. It's like, oh my God, this is what it's like. You need to know about this. You need to know about this. You need to know about this, right? Yeah, it's a good feeling. Yeah, I understand.
I think the Essene Gospel of Peace was the first thing that turned me on to raw food. Sure. Back when I was 30 years old, I got a copy of that book, and it changed my life, changed everything. Yeah. And I just felt like this incredible download. I mean, I read it over and over, like back and forth. Like I was just like so intrigued by that book, and it took me another 15 years after that, finding that book, to actually go raw. So psychological process of letting go. Like, well, I want to go raw, but no, I'll stay with the no, but I want to, but no.
It can be challenging, but it's definitely the right way to go. This has been really informative for me, and really helpful for me, and couldn't be thankful enough that you've given me this time of yours. So for all of you guys out there, definitely check out Shane's channel, Raw Vegan Rising. I'm going to put some links in the description below so that you can easily click away and check out all of Shane's lectures and videos. If you like this channel, you will absolutely love and get good information from Shane's channel as well. So I encourage you to go and do that. Mr. Shane Sterling, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this. Maybe in the future we'll have some other important topics that we can discuss.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for connecting. I really appreciate it. Two minds are stronger than one. And Absolutely. Really creating community is so important. And YouTube's a phenomenal platform for the raw vegans to really come together and speak about it. So even though it might be controlled by Google and the CIA, people like you and me here talking to the public, and that's extremely powerful.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and you enjoy your day, and we'll catch you next time.
Okay. Bye.
All right. See you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for tuning into this interview, guys. Make sure to check out the Raw Vegan Rising. You're going to find plenty of fantastic information there as well. If you like this interview and you like what we're doing here on the Freemelon Society, then please subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell notification, make sure you don't miss future videos and interviews and whatnot that we're going to be releasing here. I wish you all the best, and we will see you next time on the Freemelon Society.